This is a Lego hot dog, this is a barrel, and this is a rice farmer hat. But what if I told you that you can use these exact same pieces to make a tree, a Japanese building, and an AK-47? Bruh. Today I'm going to be taking several Lego pieces and using them in ways people would not expect. Starting with this microphone. If you take one, you can make a door handle. And on this same build, you can see I used a paint roller for a porch light. If you don't have a microphone, you can use a ball joint. And if you don't have a microphone or a ball joint, you can make a door handle from a tiny antenna that goes on this Boba Fett minifig. Or you could literally use a gun. It also rotates just like a door handle. If you have one of these special plates with extra studs on the side, you can replace it with the hips of a minifigure, attach the legs, and with that, you can put it in some cool positions like have it do the splits or a flying sidekick. Here's a nature build, and I use several tricks here. For the trunk of the tree, I use an antenna, which helps add support and also lets the tree bend like in real life. On the ground, I used a blank minifigure head to make a mushroom. I also made a second mushroom, but for this one, I used a Technic gear and an animal horn to have it tipped over. To go with this tree, we can add some dead leaves. I can use minifigure hands and these pointy teeth pieces. I also use these teeth pieces to make a hay roof for a tropical hut like this, and you can also use horn pieces to make the tip of a gas can. Now it's time for a quick speed round. I went to Instagram to have you guys name me random Lego pieces, then see what I can make with them. First piece is a hot dog, aka Glizzy. I'm not capping, you can actually use a hot dog to make a gun. I also discovered you can use it to make a crossbow. If you take some minifigure hands, you can also use it to make a Japanese gate. It kind of looks like that, I guess. Next piece is a Harry Potter wand. Well, if you take some, you can make legs for a table. How about tiles? Well, if you take square ones that have graphics, they kind of look like album covers, and you can actually make a small vinyl collection. What about Technic pieces? Well, if you take this weird one, put a flame inside of it, lay it down, then you have a campfire. Can I be in the video? Sure. What about chains? You can make a fence, or you can use it as jewelry on a minifig. My boy looking pretty drippy. What about a bucket? If you take one and remove the handles, you can make a flower pot. And with these leftover handles, you can make legs on a chair. And to make the back of the chair, I used this tile with a triangular tip. Someone suggested a sword. Well, if you take these Minecraft swords, they actually interlock and it's super satisfying, and you can make some cool artwork with them. Speaking of Minecraft, you can also take a trident and make a fence. As we continue discussing our tricks, this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. You've probably heard almost every big YouTuber say that, but that's right. We've officially made it, people. We actually got sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. By the way, if you take skateboard wheels, you can use them as dumbbells. It's a free action-packed mobile and PC game where you can take the role of over 600 different warriors with unique skills, build a team, battle, defend, and conquer. Also, if you take a loaf of bread, you can make a sailboat. You won't get bored because the game constantly updates. For example, Raid has an amazing game mode, Doom Tower, which brings loads of challenges and terrifying bosses to fight. Also, if you take gray hair, you can use it as a mop. From now till November 5th, there's an exclusive Halloween event for new players where you have the chance to win legendary champions and even real-life prizes like $1,000 Amazon gift cards. It's totally free, you just need your Raid player ID, so head to trickortreat.polarium.com, spin a wheel, and get a prize. And if you take minifigure hands, you can use it for a coffee machine. Okay, now it's time you go play Raid Shadow Legends. Click my link or scan this QR code, and if you're a new player, you can unlock a free starter pack worth $30, including one champion and a load of loot. Rewards will only be in your inbox for the next 30 days only. Anyway, let's go back to becoming master builders. What about ice cream? Well, I made a snow-covered bush that uses 3 of them. Right next to it, I also used these car wash pieces to make a frosty-looking tree. But going back to ice cream, you can also use it to make bubbles. I also took some levers, broke them apart, and used the bottom of them to hold glass pieces. It's an illegal building technique, so cops about to pull up. But if you take the bottoms of these levers, you can also make a cool-looking flower. And to hold this flower, you can see I used a minifigure cup as a base. But if you want other ways to hold flowers, you can straight up use a bowl. If you have window frames, you can use them as legs on a table, and since you have leftover glass, you can use it to make water. It adds a glistening effect just like water in real life. This is Asian Man. If we take his hat, we can use it to make a cool oriental themed build like this. You can also use a dish piece just like this. Speaking of dish pieces, you can also make a satellite dish, or you can make an umbrella. And on this table are some paper plates I made using some round tiles with a stud in the middle. Now going back to the Asian build, I took some of these rotating pieces, broke them apart, and used the bottom of them to make some cool looking windows. And with these pieces, you can also make something like a milk crate. You could also make custom windows if you take panels and place them sideways. Okay, now it's time to ask my fellow Lego bro, Sacred, what tricks he can share to my fans. Okay, I'm trying to find 100 Lego tricks, and I need some ideas. Do you have any?
Yes, I do.
Here are some of the greatest Lego tricks you will ever feast your eyes on. First thing we have is a chair. So the way I built this chair was by putting fang pieces inside holes and then connecting that to the chair to make it elevated. And if you want a Lego minifigure with a really long neck, you can actually add a cone piece of the same skin color. This is a special one. I thought about this on the spot. If you use a brown ice cream piece, you could use it to represent poop.
Shout out to my boy Sacred. Thanks for that free content. What about cherries? There's this game I used to play as a kid called Ladder Ball, where you try to get a bunch of strings and balls on the end to wrap around a bar. So I made my own in Lego. This is a barrel, and it has really cool texture on the side. So if you take enough of them, you can actually make a tree like what I did here. If you only have one barrel, you can still make a tree. All you have to do is take some poles, put them inside, add some leaves, and just to hold everything together, you can use these Indiana Jones whips. This is a two-piece, and if you take off the arms of a torso like this, shove one of these through, then add hands, you can make flimsy arms. Definitely doesn't look like this guy hits the gym though. If you have these weird looking pieces, you can take the same torso, shove these inside, then you have two spots you can connect things to, so you can get creative and make something like a human cyborg. Kind of like Mark Zuckerberg. These are vertical hinges, and aside from being hinges, you can take them apart to make a medieval window. On the back of these hinges is a tiny spot where the top is exposed, so you can use it for extra detail in a wall. You can also use these hinges for wheels on a cart, and I also used plates with an extra lip for drawer handles, and this round tile with a bar on the top for a bottle of water. And you can use this same piece to make a candlestick, or an ink bowl for a hat plume, which also looks like a feathered calligraphy pen. Here's a dude getting a fresh cut. I used a cape for the blanket thing that the barber puts around your neck and is supposed to catch your hair. And for the chair he's sitting on, I used two guns for armrest. This is a hinge plate. When you fold it in either way, a half of a circle appears on the edge, so it makes a good drawer handle. I also used the hollow part of this brick for extra storage. And I also took a fez, which is a type of hat, and used it as a lamp. Here's a bed. I used tiny slopes and laid them down sideways to make detailed sheets, and I also used a larger white slope for a pillow. Here's a tiny bathroom, and there's several tricks we can get from this. First off, I used a cooking pot for a toilet bowl. I also used a lifesaver for the toilet seat, and if we look at the sink, I used a bowl for the sink bowl. I used a gun piece for the faucet, but I realized you can take a frog, and that also looks like a faucet as well. You can also use a lifesaver as a door on a washing machine. Here's an old building, and there's 10 tricks I used here. First, I used ingot bars for bricks, and since the edges are bezeled, I used them to replicate cracks in the wall and the floor. I also made the wall look cracked using studs, rounded plates, these rounded tiles. I also used these corner tiles to make the ground look cracked. Yeah, just lots of cracks. I used faucet pieces and minifigure legs to improve the facade, and also took transparent pieces and made broken glass. And I finessed a lightsaber in order to make this drain pipe on the side. Definitely wouldn't want to meet someone for a Craigslist deal in this type of alleyway. What can we do with grills? First off, we can make a vent. Kind of sus. You can also use them for keys on a piano. I also learned that if you take an arch and look closely, there's a lot of empty space underneath, so you can actually take grills, fit them underneath, and you can make a window. Okay, last 10 tricks. Here we go. The most useless Lego pieces you can probably ever own in your life are broken pieces, right? Well, I'm about to prove you wrong, because even these pieces can be used to make something like a rotten hardwood floor that looks straight out of a horror movie. I also found this hollow transparent ball that cracks in half. You can use this for an astronaut helmet, but if you put colorful studs in it, you can also make a gumball machine, or even use it for a street lamp. What can you do with crates? Other than hold stuff like they're intended, they have unique patterns on the side, so you can take advantage of that and use them to make something like this bookshelf. This is a round plate, but it's special because it's got points all around it you can clip things to. If you add transparent plates around it, you can make a luxurious chandelier that only a super rich person could probably afford. You can also use transparent tiles to make a lantern. What about a net? You can thread it through some studs and make a trampoline. Another flimsy piece is this string, but if you take two of them, you can make a suspension bridge. And for the railing, I used some skeleton arms. Wow, and it looks like that finishes our 100th trick. But since it took me forever to make this video, here's a few bonus ones. Here's some tiny slopes, but you can use them to make the armrest of a couch. You can also use them to make a pair of shoes, or you can take a minifigure, remove its legs, and make it look like it's kneeling down. These are rounded 1x2 plates, and if you take two of them, you can make a pair of slippers. You can also use them to make a heater. What can we do with a pair of roller skates? Well, it turns out they look like miniature cars, or they also look like exhaust tips on a car. On the same car, I also used a pair of Technic hinges for side mirrors, and I think binoculars can also look like exhaust tips on a car, but you can use them to extend the length of a gun. What about a telescope? If you take enough, you can make railing for a house. And for the last bonus trick, you can take a transparent dome, fill it with studs, and you have a water dispenser. And I also used cone pieces for cups. Guys, please give this video a like, because your boy's in a foreign country, and I still made the effort to make this video even on vacation. Also, we're almost at 1 million subscribers, so go onto your girlfriend's and your parents' YouTube account and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you later.